Okay. Okay, so my little remote died, so I gotta get up and turn it on, turn it off every time. All right, next question. Do you get jealous of each other?
Generally, no. I think that we are both pretty secure in ourselves and comfortable in our relationship. So generally, no. I mean, there are moments. I've had a couple moments here and there,
Mm-hmm.
but it's easy for me to talk myself down from it. You know, I realize that I'm being irrational. I'll realize that we have a wonderful relationship. I'll realize that we're happy and in love, and then I'm like, oh, so whatever it is that I was worried about suddenly doesn't seem important anymore. Um, but I'm, it's rare. It's really rare at this point.
Interesting. So you said, what was the answer? What was your answer? Yours was
Hardly ever, but
hardly.
when it does, when I do get jealous, it's easy for me to talk myself down from it.
But what are you getting jealous of?
Um, when I know when I know you're performing with someone else, um, if I think that there may be an attraction between you guys, a natural attraction or chemistry, I might get a little bit nervous, but then I realize, well, I'm out here doing the same thing. So, and at the end of the day, I'm very happy to come home to my man. So perhaps I'm getting myself worked up for nothing.
I wouldn't. Okay, I'm not gonna. I can't. Obviously, I'm not gonna tell you how you should feel or whatnot. But that I think it's interesting, and I know you and I have had this conversation several times off camera. And a reason why this question is being brought up now is because a fan reached out to me via Instagram and asked if I ever get jealous of you, and I'm like, absolutely not. There's nothing in my mind. There's nothing to be jealous of, and it's not an insult. It's just more of I am comfortable with myself, and I'm comfortable with our relationship, and I'm comfortable with you. So there's nothing for me to be jealous about.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you're a great looking man. Anyone would love to have you as their significant other, but I was the lucky one.
Mm-hmm.
I know how much you love me. I know how much I love you, and I know how much we love each other. And it's not just us. We have a dog, we have our families, and all that means.
We put a ring on it.
Sure did. But all that means something. If I am getting jealous, it's who are you? Oh my God, how do I say this? Who you're working with, or if you're PA, who's on set that day, and like, oh, I wanted to meet this person, I never got to meet this person. It's usually, if we're PAing on set, it's usually for JP, which is usually on more than normal. It's going to be a boy-girl shoot, or it could be a girl-girl shoot. It could be a girl and JP shoot. But we're never going to see a gay shoot on the. Not saying we're never going to see it on that particular kinks. The sites that we are PAing for, they're not doing those now. On the other hand, we have Micah and his shoots. I mean, he's doing a lot of the gay stuff. I do get a little jealous of those when you're PAing for them, because there's a lot of guys in that world I don't know.
So for the PAing part, not for the actual performing with someone part?
Yeah.
Really, that's not what I expected.
I don't get jealous, because I know I know what you can do, and I know where your heart is. Because I already know that you get jealous of me when I'm performing or doing content shoots. I already know that.
I mean, just a little bit. Not really.
No, I'm not saying that you get jealous, but you just admitted it.
A little bit.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you're here pacing and counting the minutes and all that. But for me, it's more of like, oh, who do you get to see?
Mm-hmm.
Because you've been in this industry for at least 3 years longer than I have. So there's a couple of people you've met that I haven't had an opportunity to meet yet. Or I'm friends with someone online, and we chat, but we never meet. So that's where most of my jealousy comes from.
Okay.
But that's funny. But the question never said, "Do we get jealous of each other performing?" or being with
Right.
somebody else. Instead, do we get jealous of each other? And I think it's interesting you took it to the performing side and not just
Well, I mean,
on
for
the
the
life side.
for the life side, no, there's nothing to be jealous of. And, I'm comfortable. I mean, I think like we both have interesting opportunities presented to us. We both meet interesting people. Like, so I don't necessarily feel jealous about just life encounters. Like it's the sex part
Oh, see, for
that
me, it's not.
that sometimes makes me will tickle me a little bit.
It's never been the sex part for me, and that has I let that go years ago. When the very first time I took you to your shoot in California and I dropped you off and then drove back to where we were staying, didn't cross my mind at all.
Mm-hmm.
It was just I just knew there was a comfortability, not only with myself but with you that I had nothing to worry about.
Mm-hmm. It's funny though, because I kind of feel like it's been the reverse for me. Like at the beginning, I was totally comfortable. I was like, yeah, go do your thing. But the longer we're together, the more I love you, the stronger our relationship is. I'm like, I don't want to share. But then I remember that we've been doing this all along, and it works for us. And it's not bad. It's not a bad thing. In fact, I feel empowered when I remind myself that this is okay and that everything is fine and that I can move on with my day and I'm not stressed out about it. I feel a sense of empowerment and freedom from that. So I see it as a good thing, that I'm able to talk myself down. That's not to say it never happens, it never comes up, I never get those feelings, but I can talk myself down from them.
Well, that's good. I'm sure people are probably asking what questions you ask yourself or what do you do to get yourself back into a normal.
Well, I kind of remind myself again that I'm doing the same thing. I remind myself the day before I was just with this person, or in a couple of days I'm going to be with this person. And I realize, well, we're doing the same thing. And if I'm not, I'm not the least bit concerned about me coming home. I know I'm coming home, so I'm not going to worry about he's coming home too. It's almost like this irrational thing that happens, like, like say you're on a boat,
Okay.
and you're wearing a life vest, and you really shouldn't be worried about getting into the water because you have on a life vest. The life vest is going to protect you, but you still might have a fear about it. I do. So here, I'm like, I remember that I'm wearing a life vest and I don't need to be worried. I remember that this man is tied to me for life and I don't have to be worried.
Yes. That is actually a really good analogy.
Mm-hmm.
I would have never thought about it that way, but okay. All right. So I guess I'm just weird and I don't get jealous. I would say I think if I was not part of this industry,
Yes.
and I was an outsider looking in, then yes, I would have a hard time.
I definitely think that it would be harder for either of us if one of us was in and one of us was out.
Yeah.
The fact that we're both in makes it easier to handle.
I think for us it does because we had the conversation. We sat down off camera, and we do this quite often. We sit down and we do our, like, I don't want to call them weekly check-ins, but we sit down probably maybe once every couple of months and like, hey, how are you doing? Comfort levels. Where are we? Just in our relationship. What's coming up? What do we have? Like big financial moves are we going to make? Type of things. Mm-hmm. Where I'm not saying that every relationship doesn't do that, but I think more relationships who are not in the industry, I think they should have these conversations, especially when it comes to sex.
Communication really is everything.
Yeah, and you would be really surprised to learn what your partner likes or doesn't like. Regardless of how long you've been together, you could have been together 20 years, but your partners could be really shy and they don't want to express to you
also
what they like. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Also, people change over time. What they like and dislike changes. What they're comfortable with and what they're not comfortable with could change. And I feel like it's just a good idea to check in and make sure that, are we still good?
Yes.
Is there anything that I'm doing that bothers you? Is there anything that we can change? Is there anything that we should be working on? Mm-hmm. Like I would rather have these conversations, even if they have the potential to become awkward or uncomfortable, than wake up one day and realize that I'm laying next to a stranger, or be surprised by something that, you know, we could have just been talking about all along,
Absolutely.
that we could have fixed
Mm-hmm.
all along, you know?
Mm-hmm. I think, but it takes years of knowing yourself, being comfortable with yourself. Unfortunately, it does take some heartbreak and some not troubled roads, but just some rocky roads to go down to truly understand all of that.
Mm-hmm.
To really get that, this is me, this is who I am, this is what I will accept, this is what I will not accept, and be strong enough to vocalize that to one, yourself, and your partner.
And also be strong enough to stand on your own. You know, I remember feeling very trapped or hopeless in relationships where, like, okay, I don't want to be alone, so I've got to make this work. And then you get to a point where you realize sometimes it's better to be alone.
Yes.
If this shit ain't gonna work, it's
Yes.
better to be alone. So you have to be comfortable with that. It's funny, you have to be comfortable with the idea of being alone in order to be in a relationship. But I know it's kind of like a contradiction, but it's true though.
But it is the truth. You have to be. Because that's where I was when I met you.
Mm-hmm.
I was
similar. No, well, not quite. I think by the time you came along, I was starting to look again. But I spent a very long time, like, warding off any kind of relationship. Like, just leave me alone.
Mm-hmm. It's very interesting now how our paths recrossed.
Mm-hmm.
But they needed to.
It was meant to happen.
Yeah. Our introduction was meant to happen. Us working together was meant to happen, and then eventually
Our time apart was meant to happen because
Yes.
we both still had a little something left to learn before we were ready for each other.
Yes, I agree.
And once that happens, then, you know, the universe just opened up and said, okay, now it's your time.
It did, and the universe is also telling us, it's been giving us hints throughout our relationship, and it's moving forward and just dropping things in our laps. Some good, some bad, but it's how do we juggle it?
Mm-hmm.
How do we handle what's going on, and which one of us is going to take the lead in that particular situation?
That's a great point to touch on too. Which one of us is going to take the lead? It's great to be in a committed partnership where someone may be stronger at certain things and they can help you through, and or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are definitely my times when I lean on him, and it's definitely made me stronger. You know, and I appreciate that. One of my friend Tara, was telling me that, you know, what were we talking about? I think we were talking about, I don't remember what we were talking about, but she's like, you know, like in our relationship, he tends to be the more social one, and I can be a little bit shy, you know, in public settings or in groups or kind of like parties or something like that. And she's like, oh, it's okay. You can just, you know, you got the social buddy. He can do all that stuff. He's representing you. He's representing both of you. So it's like we balance each other out. Wherever I'm weak, he's strong, and where he's weak, I'm strong.
Bitch, I'm never weak.
Well, we'll save that for another conversation. But yeah,
Yes, dear.
we've gotten to the point where we balance each other out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I like that. I like that dynamic.
Yes. Okay, I think we answered that one.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, I got turned off now.